I'm George Edson, one of the 20 directors of the Cornish Fair, and we're going to take a tour around the fair today and show you what it's all about. Tell us what the rescue squad does at the Cornish Fair.
We provide first aid coverage, and we do it the entire time that the fair is open. We are here from the time the gate opens till we're closed at night, and meanwhile we're covering the towns of Plainfield, Meriden, and Cornish at the same time.
Seems to have been fairly quiet, and that's the way you like it?
We've had our share of usual things. Yeah, I'd like to see it quiet, and I'm glad the weather's holding up.
And the Falcone family is here. We've seen them before. They're regulars at the Cornish Fair. So Hannah, tell us what it's all about.
I just like being here and showing my sheep. I like interacting with the public and telling them what I know. And I enjoy showing them my little sheep and lambs. Yeah.
And you are one of 5 sisters. It's the 5 Sisters Farm. 2 sisters handy by. And have all the sheep classes been held already?
Every one of them except lead line, which is going to happen tonight. It's when you dress up in a wool outfit and you walk your sheep around and you get scored on your outfit.
The Connecticut Valley Home Care and Hospice is providing a health screening clinic, and they're conducting blood pressure, blood sugar, and cholesterol checks. We're here at Summertime Farm, which is part of the dairy show. So can you tell us tell us about your farm?
Well, actually, we just have just a young stock at our farm, and it started off as a 4-H project, and the kids were showing them in 4-H, and then they go back to a couple of dairy farms during the wintertime and when they become cows. Hence, that's why we're called Summertime Farm.
Well, that makes sense. I've noticed you relaxing over here, so it seems like you have a good time at the Cornish Fair.
I love the Cornish Fair. We've been going here for 15 plus years, and just love coming here. It's always inviting. Love to see all the animals. It's a great fair.
Have you ever been to the Cornish Fair before?
No, never been here.
Like, how many years have you not been here?
No, I've been here every fair they ever had since 1950.
In the distance, you see the blacksmith shop, and we'll visit there shortly. We are between events in oxen pulling. We're setting up the sled for the next event, and some of our food booths.
I want to thank Pat Mudge and
And here we are in the Tractor Club Museum, and with Alan Tewksbury. Alan, tell us what the museum's all about.
It's a good collection of old farm equipment and things that bring you back quite a few days. We're getting to the time now where the newer generation haven't even never seen any of this stuff. A few of us older folks know a little bit about some of it, but it's a lot of history to bring back so people can see it.
And these materials came from a variety of places, like what?
A lot of the stuff, there was a bunch of people in the club that had some stuff. When we get the barn built, we had to scurry around for about 2 weeks. We had to get all the stuff together, so anybody that had anything old kind of grabbed it all together, and we put it together and brought it in. And then we had a lot of people from the area and it come to the fair, and over the years they keep donating stuff. You know, they'll come to the fair and say, oh, I got something like that, so they'll donate it to us.
Well, it's made a fine collection, and it's of great interest to a lot of people. We have a loom over here. What do we have going on over here?
Yeah, they get a loom over here. She's making scarves and stuff like that. They're more or less showing people now just how to make it. But she makes nice scarves and weaves a lot of other things over there. And the woman next door, she is doing rugs. She hand weaves rugs, and then you can see on the table the handbag and stuff is all made out of modern day plastic bags that you get at the grocery store and you don't know what to do with. She's making rugs and handbags out of them.
can ask you a few questions again. Here we have Danny Moore from the Tractor Club, and he is showing us what a one-lunger hit and miss. What is it? Tell us about the motor.
It's a 1915 Maynard hit and miss gas engine, and we got it belted to an ice cream freezer, and we're showing people how homemade ice cream is made.
And hit and miss, I guess, makes sense if you just listen to it.
Right. That's the governing system of the engine, and when it pops is when it hits, and when it's not popping is when it misses.
Well, I heard that the ice cream might be ready in 10 minutes, so I bet we'll be back.
Well, there's a lot of people coming back.
Thank you very much. And here we have Gerald Gingras from Errol, New Hampshire, and Jerry wins a lot of prizes here every year, including those you're looking at. Tell us about this chainsaw.
This is the open hut saw, or the speed sawing, and I was fortunate enough. We had a lot of good competitors this year, but I put in a good cut and came out on top. It started out life as a dirt bike motor, and we run it on some pretty crazy fuel. It runs on the same fuel as the top fuel dragsters, methanol and nitromethane.
Well, this Woodsman's Field Day contest up here is one of the biggest of its types in New Hampshire and Vermont, and something well worth seeing at the Cornish Fair. Thank you very much, Jerry.
Thank you. You know, it's a great honor to come here. I've been coming as a kid. This marks 30 plus years I've been coming and competing here, so it's a real honor to take home a first place trophy.
Ready, go!
Jeremy, who is the sponsor, and what is this all in favor of?
Yeah, Arms for Kids, nonprofit children's charity out of Springfield, Vermont.
And how many number of classes?
We offer 17 different classes. We didn't film all today. I think we got about 14 total.
Well, we've been watching it and filming it. Thank you very much.
Go!
Pat, can you tell us a little bit about the 4-H horse activities that were held yesterday?
Okay, so yesterday we had our Sullivan County 4-H horse show here in the ring, which basically any 4-H youth that has an approval form which is done in advance saying that they own this horse or they work with this horse and help take care of a horse, they can lease a horse. So they all came here. We had 17 riders yesterday. And something really neat happened yesterday because many of our riders were riding for the first time. A lot of our seniors have moved on, gone to college, and we had probably 8 or 9 children between the ages of 8 and 12 that had never been in a show, and some of them had horses that had never been in shows. So we chose to slow down our show and let some of those new kids go in and be led around, let them see what was happening over here where the other horses were working. And by the time the show was over, everyone rode in all the classes that they'd planned to, and actually one of the most problematic, kind of scared horses actually did some of the best work in the trail class, where they'd go over obstacles and stuff like that. So it was a win-win.
And that sounds like what 4-H and the Cornish Fair are all about.
That's exactly what it's all about. And that's why I do this.
Thank you, Pat.
You bet.
And now we run into Nicole Galloway, and Nicole is the chairman of the Queen contest at the Cornish Fair, which was last night, so we won't get to see that on film today. But Nicole can tell us a little bit about that contest.
Well, unfortunately, Mother Nature wasn't cooperating at first. We got plagued with rain on the stage, and then our sound equipment had some issues. But once we got started, the pageant ran very smoothly, pretty quick, in and out within about an hour and 20 minutes. Had 10 lovely ladies and a nice gentleman who was crowned our king. Our winner is Ashley Winslow, who's walking around the fair somewhere today. She's from Ware, New Hampshire. Our first runner-up was Jessica Crow from Claremont, New Hampshire. Second runner-up was Rachel Lyons from Claremont. Third runner-up was Evelyn Cormier from Claremont. And Sierra Walker was our fourth runner-up from Claremont. Sierra also was our congeniality winner, and Evelyn was our talent winner. And then Jacob Tenney from Charlestown, New Hampshire was crowned this year's king.
And Nicole, you've done this for how many years?
I have been affiliated with the Cornish Fair King and Queen pageant since I was 17 years old. And I won't tell you how old I am.
And she's 19 now, so it's been 2 years. And Nicole has been chairman now for a number of years, and since she took it over, it has been fantastic. It has attracted more young ladies and has been extremely popular. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you.
Theme of the parade was tractors this year, so we didn't have a tractor. So I said, well, what does a horse and a tractor have in common? And that would be horsepower. So this was our quarter horsepower animal. And then we had another one that was this big that was our half horsepower. And then we had the one in the corner that was our 3/4 horsepower. And then we had 2 full-size horses that were 1 horsepower. And all the kids got to lead horses or ride a stick horse or carry a sign. And Mr. Biggs was kind of leading the parade. And this is kind of a little decoration.
Does it fit to eat?
Over here. What's Marianne
doing? You're filming this. And here is Mr. Wheeler, who is obviously with the ox pulling contingent. So tell us about the ox pulling.
I don't know what you want to know.
Well, are these your animals?
Yeah.
Now, is it true that an ox is just another name for a steer, which is a castrated male?
Yeah. And, after they're 5 years old, they're an ox. Before then, they're a steer.
Okay, there you go. And are you waiting for a class later tonight?
Yeah, 32 class coming right up.
3,200, and that means that the team weighs 3,200 pounds.
Yeah, that's what they weigh, 3,200. I like 3,200.
Okay, and in a minute we'll pan over to the scale sheds, and every team has to be weighed at every event, because even though Mr. Wheeler would never tell a lie, we don't know what the team weighs till we weigh them. Is that right?
That's the truth. That's why we had to weigh them every day, every fair.
And is there a free-for-all tonight or a larger class tonight?
Yes, there is a free-for-all class tonight. You don't have to weigh them for that. Anything can go, you know.
And where are you from, and how many animals did you bring here?
Oh, I see. I don't even know. We got 2 trailer loads. I guess I didn't even count them. We got 16 bulls at home, so we got most of them here, I guess.
Well, that's wonderful. And you're from where?
Sutton, New Hampshire.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wheeler.
This is the way they'd set up. That's what we're presenting today. They were, they would have been up here, you know, recruiting and mustering it too. So they'd be camping together until they got sent out.
And this is your first year here, and we're real glad to have you here. Are you a club, an organization, and where are you out of?
Well, we're members of a bunch of different places. Some of us are members of a reenactment group called the 3rd Vermont Civil War Hemlocks, and most of those guys are up in the Northeast Kingdom, but there's a bunch from all over Vermont, and we're also members of the Sons of the Union Veterans. There's a fairly reorganized camp in Lebanon, New Hampshire, and we have one member. He's not here today, but he's also a shooter. He's a member of the North-South Skirmish Association, where they shoot competitively from the original weapons.
Tell us the significance of the tents.
Well, this is a wall tent here. This is characteristic of what the officers would have been sleeping in, and it's much more spacious and probably a little drier than these here. From 1862 on, the Army started catching on about carrying small things and lighter. So this would have been 1/2 of a tent that a soldier would have carried, and then he got together with another buddy and buttoned it together. It's what the Army has used for over 100 years. It's called the pup tent or dog tent. That's what it was nicknamed as. And I've heard that even today they still use a form of this. The Marines do in their basic training.
I think there's a famous picture of Lincoln and Grant sitting in front of a tent that looks very much like this officer's tent over here.
That may have been, yeah. I know there's one. I think it was after Antietam that you saw them Lincoln sitting in with McClellan.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was
now, is this a real chicken over here?
No, that's a rubber chicken, but we still plan to eat that. No.
I think it's a rubber real chicken.
Yeah, it is. So this is our first kind of a first attempt at cooking a chicken on a spit or on a rope here. We'll see how that comes out.
If that rope gets too well done, I think it's going to be sitting in your fire.
We got to keep it wet. Yeah.
We'll have
That's the,
broiled chicken later.
yeah.
Very good. Thank you, gentlemen.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bloomin' onion. You got to have a bloomin' onion when you come to the Cornish Fair.
Only one?
But well, he's got one too, but only one. Okay. But I exhibited in the Cornish Fair through 4-H for 10 years,
yeah.
And now that I live in Cornish, it's the quickest fair to get to.
Right.
And we even won the log and truck of wood one year. So.
Another satisfied customer.
Very satisfied customer.
Thank you. And here at the Cornish Fair, we have both horse pulling and ox pulling and pony pulling.
Today we have 5 classes of ox pulling, and we have been through 3 of those classes. We have another one that starts at 4 o'clock, and then the large oxen, what we call the free-for-all oxen, start at 7 o'clock tonight.
And you have been doing this work for quite a number of years. Your father before you?
That's correct. The first fair that had ox pulling, my uncle and my father ran it. I think it was 1950 or 51. And so there's been an Allen running it ever since.
Today we have the Prince with us. And Prince, tell us your name.
Jake Galloway.
And you are from where?
Sunapee, New Hampshire.
This is what we call the scale barn. And as we mentioned previously, the ox and horse teams are all weighed here. And it costs a lot of money to put on a fair. Every couple of years we need to have the scales recalibrated. The state comes in, and it costs about $500 to do that. So that's one of the many things behind the scenes that a lot of people wouldn't realize go on. The Cornish Fair couldn't exist without loyal sponsors and exhibitors, and Town Line Equipment is right up there at the top of the list. We have Drew Maraza with us today. And Drew, how many years do you suppose your family has been at the Cornish Fair with your tractors?
At least 27, because I've been here every year.
You were born here?
Yeah, I haven't missed one, whether I was enjoying it or working here, and probably both are the same.
Your father would often be sitting in this chair, and your mother next to me, and they must be taking a few minutes off.
They are. Mom was here yesterday. I don't know if Dad will make it this year or not, but my brother's been here, and his 9-month-old son has been here too.
Well, that's a family history of involvement in the Cornish Fair, and as I say, Town Line has been extremely important to us, and we appreciate everything they've done. Entertainment is a big part of the Cornish Fair, and we have Horses, a specialty show, great entertaining value, and they are here from time to time, not every year, but often, and they're here this year, and it's a great show. Here is Bodie Kelton. And Bodie and his family have been very active in fairs. His father, Charlie Kelton, is or has been the head of the Rutland Fair for years and years. The Vermont, what's it called? The Vermont what?
Vermont State Agricultural Society out of Rutland, Vermont. He's one of the directors. Him, Bob Bear, and Richard River runs the fair. It's been there 168 years this year. They own the buildings and grounds, and just 5 years ago they put new facilities in for bathrooms for handicapped people and so forth. The Cornish Fair is an all-volunteer fair. We're always excited to come up here because everyone in the area chips in and really gives it their all. From Steve Heavisides in the parking lot, to the Atwoods, to you folks. That give their time and effort with expecting nothing back except maybe a smile on a fairgoer's face. So we're always excited to come to Cornish, and we always try to bring our best show here.
Well, Bodie did remind me of the volunteer aspect of this, and it is unbelievable the amount of work that our directors do, and each one has their own niches and hours and hours and hours of effort and detail work to put this together every year, a 3-day event that starts and stops in 3 days.
From the booklet and the Valley News to the way the grounds are laid out, everybody gets a fair shot at where they sit and what they do. And I just think if you talk to the smallest exhibitor and the guy who brings the most stuff, Town Line Equipment, I would guess would be our biggest exhibitor here, they're all very happy to be here and very excited to be here. And we have coming in here the director of the Vermont State Fair in his Vermont State Fair van, Charlie Kelton.
Thank you. We might just talk to Charlie.
Yes, I think you'd get a better rotation.
And up drives Charlie Kelton himself. And we've been talking with Bodie in detail. And tell us a little bit about your history in the fair business.
Well, it goes back a long ways. I've got 1932 ribbons, 4-H ribbons, for the Rutland Fair. Now, of course, we changed it to the State Fair. So it was a long time ago. And World of Mirth came on a railroad show, 2 full train loads. It was a lot of happy memories. My dad had brown Swiss cattle, and of course the big deal was the cavalcade. The grandstand was full, and of course the race horses. Things have changed.
Things have changed, and you've been a part of that change, and a lot of the credit for it goes to you. And it was great to run into you, and good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you. See ya.
Even if a cow is at a fair, it needs to be milked twice a day. So this is what's going on at this point. Every dairy cow here that is milking has to be milked. And they're lined up here to do that. Regulations today don't allow for the sale of this milk to be used by the public for consumption because they can't track it. And new laws indicate that we have to know where all of our food comes from. And this would be impossible with this mixed bunch of cows. So what's going to happen is this milk is collected and it goes into a tank and it's picked up by a pig farmer and it's used to feed the pigs. The Skymaster, one of the more popular rides here. And when those cars get to the top, the people are sitting upside down, as you can see. So that may be something that would attract you to go to the Cornish Fair. Food booths and more food booths and rides and more rides. In the town hall there's an art show and sale. Under the tent there's bingo put on by the Cornish Fire Department. And famous barbecue from Mount Holly, Vermont. The fun never ends. We've talked about a lot of organizations that benefit from the fair, and this is an excellent example. So tell us the name of your organization.
Twin State Trailbusters Snowmobile Club from Lebanon, New Hampshire.
What are you doing with these onions?
We are making bloomin' onions. Paul here is actually cutting the top off, but not the root, and then peeling the first layer. And then from there, they go over to the chopper where Dana's cutting them into a flour. And as you see, you do get some waste because behind there he's got a stack of ones that didn't come out right. And then they go through a wet batter process and then a dry batter process. And then in the back window where they're fried on each side for 2 minutes apiece. And then you cut the core out, which would take the root out of the onion, and put your dipping sauce in there, which would be ranch or horseradish or ketchup, and out the front door it goes.
And how many years has your organization been coming to the Cornish Fair?
This is our 14th year.
And this amounts to what percentage of your annual income?
Probably about 90.
And you go to how many other fairs?
This is the only fair we do because we're all volunteers and 3 days here is enough normally.
I just have one more question. I want to know if you're forced to eat the waste.
We eat a lot of the waste, but we don't eat it all.
At the end of the weekend, you don't want an onion.
You don't want an onion because your hands will smell, and you just smell like onions for days, but yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The Cornish Fair stage is the Whalen Entertainment Pavilion. Thank you, Whalen Industries and Whalen Engineering in Charlestown. And people are waiting for the next show. It's divided into 2 stages. And more of our food booths, the Division of Forests and Lands, is here. They're here every year, bringing forth their message. You're looking at Kids Central over there, which is a place for kids to do various activities and parents to rest and relax. And again, more booths and vendors.